Hello everyone, this is Japan This Week. I am Charlie Hayward. Washington announced this week that effective 1 month from now, all military personnel in Okinawa will be banned from consuming alcohol off of base. This comes very, very shortly after when Kenneth Shinzato, a former U.S. Marine and current employee of the United States Air Force, was arrested by Japanese law enforcement under suspicion of dumping the body of a woman that he is allegedly admitted to both assaulting and killing. Honestly, there's nothing funny to say about this whatsoever. I could go into statistics about how many clashes and problems there have been between U.S. military forces in Okinawa and the locals there. But when you basically have to ground a bunch of grown men from going out and having a drink because they can't control themselves, I think the problem pretty much speaks for itself. In some lighter news, Sony has announced that sales of its PlayStation 4 home entertainment console have yet again passed another important milestone. According to the company, the PlayStation 4 has now moved 40 million units. That's 40 million units sold. To put that into perspective, Microsoft's Xbox One has only sold about half of that. Nintendo, meanwhile, with the sales of the Wii U, you know what? Never mind. When the Studio Ghibli Museum reopens its doors in Mitaka, Tokyo in early July, it will be with the addition of a new attraction that's aimed specifically at adult fans of Studio Ghibli, particularly those who are lovers of My Neighbor Totoro. If you've ever been to the museum, you know that for a long time the museum has sported an equal parts creepy and adorable cat bus. The problem? Well, up until recently, the cat bus that the Studio Ghibli Museum has had has only been accessible to children, which, in other words, is bull. Following a 2-month refurbishment period, the Studio Ghibli Museum will reopen with this new exhibit for approximately 10 months. So if you want to see it, your time is limited. I don't know about you, but they're going to have to wait for me to die to get me off the damn thing. And unfortunately, our last bit of news brings us back to American and Japanese affairs. If you've been following the news, you know that the G7 summit kicked off this week. A really important event happened yesterday when President Obama went to Hiroshima to address survivors of the August 6, 1945 atomic bombing of the city. In his statement, in his actions, and the way he treated people, he seemed really sincere when he said that he didn't want the memory of the events to fade, speaking of both Hiroshima and Nagasaki, talking about the unbelievable power that we have to destroy each other, the lengths we're willing to go in war. And it seemed a very sincere, genuine moment. Again, I don't actually have anything funny to say about this. I think a president going to Hiroshima while he's in office is a long time coming. But I do want to point out that the United States of America has an estimated 7,100 nuclear warheads that are still ready to go. Of those, a large majority, it's recently been reported, are controlled by 1970s computers. Now, I want to let this sink in for a minute. Many of you out there may be too young to know what a floppy disk is, but basically it's like a square-shaped disk that you insert into a computer, sometimes to run a program, sometimes just to pull data off of it. These computers need one of those to do their jobs. And in fact, according to a new report, the maintenance is becoming both more expensive and impossible because replacement parts for these machines are becoming really, really hard to come by. Additionally, nobody knows how to use them. It is important to point out that military officials have said that the systems will be brought up to modern standards by the end of the year. But at least for me, when you're talking about the real world equivalent of the Death Star, at least in terms of power and ability to wipe out life, maybe that's a little too late. So, on that note, guys, this has been Japan This Week. As always, let me know about the stories that I talked about this week and get at me on Twitter, Facebook, and all the other social stuff that is down in the description below to let me know what stories I should cover next week. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you all very soon indeed. Cheers. If you've ever dealt with kids, you know that particularly with kids, and this happens with adults too, this happened with me, if you feel like people are always leaving you, why the hell would you bother? This took me sort of a long while to realize is that not only am I supposed to be